All right, everybody. Sorry for the bad editing here. Software is not working out, but I want to give you a real quick insight on this video. There's going to be 3 videos all piled together into one. This is for 1996 to 2000, and I think 1, 2, all the Vortec motors that are in the vans, the K1500s, 2500, so on and so forth. But what these videos are about is how to convert it from central port fuel injection to carburetor. And the reason for us doing that was we had a central port fuel injection. We bought a multi-port system for it. The multi-port system failed, causing the engine to hydro lock, and we ended up having to rebuild the motor. And then this way it never happens again, we're going back to old school carburetor, which is actually a better thing, along with long tubed headers, exhaust system, all sorts of stuff. And you get like 50 plus more horsepower and a lot more better reliability. So took a little bit, but the video will tell you exactly what wires to cut, splice, and you can do all this without a programmer, a chip, anything. They want to sell you like $1,000 transmission programmer for an 4L60E to make it work. This way it works perfectly fine. One thing I do want to mention in all this is when you purchase all the parts that I mentioned in the next part of the video, make sure whatever distributor you buy, when it's the HEI, you get one with a steel shaft gear on it. So get one for either a marine boat motor for like a Mercruiser 350, and or get one from like Jegs that has the steel shaft. If you get one that doesn't have the steel shaft and you install it, which it will work, the downside is on the Vortec motors with the true roller cam, you'll end up eating up the gear on the camshaft, making it so you have to get a new camshaft. So that's no fun. So definitely stick with the steel gear. I hope this video helps. And I hope if it's something that you need to do, and it will work for you. And remember, we're voting for the felon. God bless. All right, YouTube and everybody. So we have a 98 Vortec K1500 here. Just a heavy duty, half ton, 14 bolt rear main. Came factory originally with the 350 Vortec. Long story short, we ended up converting it back to carbureted and going old school. We replaced the central fuel injection system on it originally, and it malfunctioned, causing it to bend a connecting rod and a few other things. So we decided to go carbureted. This way in the future we'll never have that problem again. So I want to give you a quick review of how to do this without spending a ton of money, and also how to make the transmission work and the computer work and the whole system to work without having to buy any aftermarket computers, programmers, chips, etc. So for starters, it's just a generic aftermarket like an Elderbrock carburetor. We picked up on I think it was eBay for only $200, brand new, electric choke and everything. We ordered from Jegs, the HEI distributor back there. Okay, we got some nice 9 mil wires that came with it. We got some long tubed headers. Those were off of eBay for only like 160. We got the high rise intake there with a spacer, and I think the intake was only 150 or 60 off of what was it? I think that was Amazon. This cold air intake here, that's for a 95 or a throttle body truck or Suburban. That was only $40 off of eBay. As you can see, I was able to use all the same pulleys and stuff. Everything up front still works. I ended up putting a fuel pressure regulator in, which is over here. Now, I'm still running off of the original fuel pump. You can see in the fuse relay center here, I still have the original fuel pump relay. So when you turn the key on, it pressures up just like it did before. So we got it cranked down to about 6 psi for the carburetor. And what you do is you take the crank sensor. The blue wire is the signal wire. The black wire with blue is a reference, and then of course blue with white is your hot wire. But you pretty much take the signal wire from the crank sensor and you're going to run it to the tach sensor of the original coil wire that goes to your tachometer. So, and then you take the tach from the HEI distributor and you run it to the white wire, which is your original tach. So now you got 3 wires going there. The original one, the crank sensor, and now of course the wire from the tach. You have to get a throttle positioning sensor kit, which is made by a company called US Shift. It sits right over here on the carburetor, and then you wire it in to your old existing throttle positioning sensor. And then on your coil wires, which are somewhere right in there, those ones, pink is always hot, so you run that to the positive side of the distributor. The white with brown is ground, and the white is your tach. And at that point, it should be able to work. I made a video of it running and driving down the road today, but as you can see, the computer's still hooked up. All this stuff is, the original electronics is still here, so the computer thinks it's still here, but it runs and drives. But I'll show you the dash. All the gauges work. You can hear the fuel pump come on. You can kind of see it there. RPM gauge, oil pressure, volts. Now the check engine light is on because, I don't know if you can see this here, that is your mass airflow sensor is not there. EGR is not there. Camshaft positioning sensor, which was the one that was originally in the distributor of the Vortec, is not there. Engine coolant sensor and manifold air pressure sensor, and that's it. Nothing else. So there's no other codes for transmission, shift, and then you can see there's no computers or anything like that. Just a good old way to make the Vortec run, drive, and shift. And I was able to buy all the aftermarket parts for the engine. Even though we rebuilt the motor, just the stuff that goes on the outside of the engine, between the regulator, the distributor, the carburetor, the intake, the headers, the exhaust system, the shift solenoid, and carburetor, it's about $1,000. So if you got about $1,000, you can convert it over, and then you also gain about 50 more horse from the long tubed headers, and then go in with the carburetor, and then go in with the higher ignition system. So it puts you closer to 300, according to some dyno specs that JEGS did. Now granted, this engine is 30 over, so it has a little bit more horse to it and different cam, but for the most part, this is the easy way of converting it and being able to keep all your pulleys, being able to keep your computer plugged in, being able to keep your fuel pump working, everything working just as it should. And you don't have to buy any programmers or anything like that. The only thing is, if you do buy a regulator like that, a cheap one, normally the hose on the left is your inlet. The hose on the right would go to the carburetor, and then the bottom one was the return line. Their directions were backwards. So the bottom one should go to the carburetor, the one on the right is the return, and the one on the left is the primary. So if you do it that way, you can get it down to 4 to 6 pounds of pressure. If you don't do it that way, the lowest you'll get is like 19 pounds of pressure. So, but I will throw the videos and the links all together here. I hope this has been a good learning video for you all. Thank you. Alright, I'm going to do a short video for all you guys so you can see this. Right now, truck's out driving around just fine. Rebuilt engine, Vortec. We replaced it with the carb and high-rise intake and spacer and HEI distributor and all sorts of stuff, and bypassed the computer. I'll show you right here. I don't have any other weird computers hooked up for the transmission. As you can see, the EBS light's on, check engine light's on. The EBS light has been on from a sensor that went out, but now I'm going to show you. All the gauges work, speedometer works, tachometer works. And here in the video, I'll show you later how to do this on your own vehicle. As you can see, it runs and drives. Downshifting. Your little power can go there. Yeah, runs and drives down the road just fine. All the gauges work. For all you people on YouTube that said this couldn't be done, it was done. And again, as you can see, no, that's a CB radio. I don't have any other control box mechanisms to make it work.